Is showering and rinsing your hair now a frightening experience because you feel like you're losing all your hair when you do? In today's video, I want to talk to you about why you're losing hair, the different reasons, and then give you different tools and ways to help maximize your hair growth. This is for men and women, and it's for folks of all ages. And stay tuned for a special bonus tip at the end of this video. You've got to watch all the way through where I'm going to share with you one of my favorite topical hair enhancing, hair growing masks. Welcome, I'm Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a doctor of naturopathy. If you're watching this video, have no fear, showering and shampooing does not have to be a frightening experience. Today's video comes to you from a viewer poll. I'm so grateful for all of you who voted on this particular topic about hair loss for men and women. I am like you, coming to this video, I'm dealing with some hair loss. What I like to do is I like to approach hair loss topically and internally. And from what I've seen and what I've researched over the past 10 years, online, it seems everybody's talking about topical stuff, but nobody's really talking about the internal stuff. So that's what I want to do in this video, is give you two different ways to manage hair loss and to minimize some of the factors that you can control. I want to break down the different reasons why you might be experiencing hair loss today. The first one and most common one is hormone imbalances. This can take place for men and women, and you don't even necessarily have to be testing on the scale for hormonal imbalances, but your variables and your ratios can be causing you hair loss. The major factor behind hair loss is DHT levels. That's a particular type of hormone that is converted from testosterone. This actually targets your hair follicles and minimizes hair growth and causes hair loss. So that's a big hormonal imbalance that we can deal with. Another big hormonal imbalance has to do with your thyroid. The thyroid imbalance and Hashimoto's and autoimmunity can be a big factor behind hair loss, as can pregnancy and postpartum hormone changes. That is my issue today, and why this is something that is on my mind and how I'm targeting it, I think will help you, men and women watching this video. After I had Gabriel, I had a significant, it was like overnight, I just started having seemed like clumps of hair falling out. So for my imbalance, I've got to manage my hormones as we're getting through the weaning process. Breastfeeding is coming to an end, and because of that, my body is reacting. The other factor behind hair loss has to do with genetics. So you can look at your mother and your father and your grandparents and figure out if your hair loss, for men, balding of the full head or part of the head, has to do with genes, as does for many women. Sometimes there's genetic components where they lose hair or have hair loss through their ages. There's some crazy stat that 80% of all women experience hair loss by the time they turn 60. And men also experience periods of hair loss depending on their testosterone levels. Stress is the third factor behind hair loss, and it's everywhere. So that's another video topic I promise I will be talking about. But stress, stressful events, and stress on your body physiologically, so internal related stress, immuno stress, hormone imbalances cause stress, and then also mental and emotional stress. I can't tell you how many patients who have come to see me over the course of the last 12 years that have gone through major stressors, like the top 5. They had a death in their family, a divorce, a move, and some other kind of chemical or social related stress. So these are big factors in terms of how our body is managing our hair quantity. And so quality is big when it comes to hair and healthy hair follicles, but also the quantity is a big component. The fourth element behind hair loss has to do with toxicity. And this can be an assortment of toxicity or toxic environments that are bombarding your body and causing the hair loss. The first one that is very well known is chemotherapy. As many of you know, I work with a lot of cancer patients, so it's very common for any man or woman going through chemotherapy, and you don't have to necessarily have cancer to be given chemotherapy drugs nowadays. that's being utilized for a lot of different other medical conditions. But the chemo actually causes chemical toxicity in your body, and your hair follicles will release the hair. And as many of you know, and you've seen probably friends and family go through it, when they stop the chemotherapy treatment, when that chemical toxicity is no longer bombarding their body, you will notice their hair regrows. And sometimes it's different. Texture changes, hair color changes because of that chemical exposure. The other factor is environmental. So this is a big one. I work with a lot of individuals who have Lyme's disease, who have candida or really significant yeast overgrowth within their body, so it's systemic, and also individuals that might be dealing with mold. Mold is a big one, and so that definitely falls into that yeasty category, but mold is its own bag in terms of hair loss. Being a practitioner for over a decade in Florida, mold is prevalent, and so many cases, obviously, we're coming to my practice dealing with hair-related loss from mold toxicity. So that's a big component. The fifth factor for hair loss has to do with nutrient deficiencies or nutrient imbalances, particularly a decrease of the building blocks necessary for hair follicle growth and growth of hair. A lot of times we will see deficiencies in key minerals. So trace minerals are going to be a big factor for regrowing and helping your body build up the hair. Similarly, a lot of my individuals are either protein deficient or do not have the ability to break down proteins properly to assimilate those into hair growth. Autoimmunity is another element that is at play. Alopecia is something that a lot of people are familiar with or have heard of. It's sometimes where you have little patches of balding and it just literally is like a round spot or a square or a triangle somewhere in this kind of crown areas where I generally see a lot of my patients come to me complaining of hair loss. Alopecia tends to be autoimmune related. That's something where the body's own immune system is actually attacking the hair follicles and causing the hair loss. So managing autoimmunity becomes a big component when we're trying to turn around and regrow the hair and really manage that process, because if we don't harness the autoimmunity that's causing the hair loss, it's going to continue to happen. For many folks, they find what can be very helpful in managing hair loss is using castor oil and dabbing it on the scalp. Castor oil can be very beneficial for rejuvenating the hair follicle, and I love to use castor oil with a few drops of rosemary. And then for some of my folks that might be dealing with autoimmunity, mold, or candida of the scalp, I'll also have them add in just a few, very gentle, like 2 drops of tea tree oil and massage that into their hair. Peppermint oil is really great for hair rejuvenation. A lot of people experience like the tingling. You'll notice a lot of the hair follicle enhancing shampoos and even conditioners will have peppermint because it invigorates the scalp. And what it really is doing is it's enhancing your circulation. I like to use a carrier oil anytime I'm using an essential oil like a peppermint because it infuses a lot better into the scalp. And with castor oil, it's really great. The other thing too, I didn't mention this in the beginning of my video, but this applies, all these things apply to eyebrows and also eyelashes. A lot of times when individuals experience hair loss, they're also gonna notice a thinning of their eyebrows. And for a lot of women, if you look at your grandparents, they have like hardly any eyebrows. So that tends to be that kind of age genetic component. One of the herbs that I love to recommend and have my patients utilize when they have hair loss that's related to high testosterone, and we're seeing that conversion from testosterone to the DHT dihydrotestosterone. Fenugreek is really good for that. We can take it internally. A lot of times people will get the Fenugreek seeds. They're kind of like these little round, they look like grape nuts, a little bit bigger than grape nuts, but you can mash them up and you can add that to your castor oil. You can do a little bit of a hair mask. Usually I'll dab a little castor oil on a Q-tip and I'll just, swab my eyebrows and also swab the eyelashes along the eyelash line, both top and bottom. That's really great for enhancing your hair growth of your eyelashes and your eyebrows. One of the most important ways to really minimize hair loss is to get to the root of it. Literally, pun intended there, because you've got to balance your hormones and we have to minimize the stress effect on the body and we have to get rid of toxicity. Those are many of the big factors. Apart from genetics and autoimmunity, we can harness and control some of those factors, we can actually reverse hair loss a lot faster. And in fact, if you don't address the root cause of your hair loss, you won't really get the full effect. And topically treating it is great, but it's not really resolving the internal factor. And so that is what I want to impart with you today. So I want to list for you some of the different ways for you to delve into the root of your hair loss, to maximize your root growth, and to have beautiful, healthy, happy hair. Herbs are wonderful for hair loss. They're wonderful for reversing some of the root cause and factors behind hair loss, including stress and DHT. Herbs that I love to recommend to minimize DHT in the body are things like saw palmetto. That is wonderful for blocking that conversion from testosterone or excess testosterone to DHT. Eating pumpkin seeds, drinking green tea can also be beneficial because they have the same properties to minimize DHT. I love ashwagandha and rhodiola. Many of you hear me talk a lot about these herbs. They're adaptogenic herbs, and they will also help minimize some of the body response that might be driving up testosterone levels for both men and women that might be the cause and root cause behind your hair loss. And I want to share with you some tests that I actually am running on myself right now, and that's a video that will be coming out as soon as I get all my results and I start my plan, because I love to be transparent with you guys, but I also love to share with you some of the resources so we can get to the literal root cause of your issue, and this particular being hair loss. So I actually do adrenal stress testing. I use saliva, sometimes we'll do dried urine, also testing hormones via saliva and or blood. Testing is really crucial for us to get the exact levels of the different hormones and to get a better, broader picture of your hormonal imbalance so that we can create a very specialized and tailored plan so that we can really attack and get to the root of your hair loss. And so if we don't know how high your testosterone might be, if we don't know the degree of estrogen dominance in your body, if we don't know the degree of toxicity, or we don't know also what nutrients might be imbalanced in your body, those are big factors for us to really delve deeper into and analyze, and then we can create a plan. These tests are something that you're interested in. I'll put a link right there where you can actually purchase these right off my website. I mail these kits to you, and then you mail them into the lab. Super easy. We usually get them back within a week or two, and this is a good start. But also starting with those herbs are really key, the topical care. And my last and final bonus is I love coconut milk masks. So I love coconut anyway, and the smell is wonderful, but you can actually get some really great benefits from coconut milk. It has a really wonderful power and way of stimulating your hair follicle and helping regenerate hair growth. It's something you can do 20 or 30 minutes before you take your shower. Rosemary is a wonderful oil, again, that you can add to that. You can add a few drops of peppermint to kind of really get that invigorating circulation flowing. And then I'll also recommend some shampoos that I am familiar with that are really good for DHT blocking. That's another component that you want to be really cognizant of. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you so much for all of you who participated in my YouTube poll. I love making topics that are going to be helpful for you. I think 42% of you right now said that you guys wanted to hear about different ways to combat and manage hair loss. So thank you for this wonderful topic. If you have any questions, please message me down below. If you have any other topic ideas that you want me to cover, I welcome that. Your participation here is what makes our channel so wonderful. And I just want to thank you for coming into my community here at Natural Health Resources. If you have not subscribed, I hope you will. We love having you here. I love coming to you in this personal way, and I thank you for inviting me into your life today. Have a wonderful, happy, and healthy day.